Oh, that looks so pretty. Welcome in, y'all. Right, let's get into it. Y'all, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Remember, upon entering, make sure you hit that thumbs up energy button. It's a blessing to see you all, have you all here. And with the messages that resonates, if you're watching this on a replay, let me know what's going on in the comments, all right? So we're going to go ahead and get started. This is full moon in Libra. And this full moon in Libra is showing you where your life is imbalanced, on where it's no longer sustainable in matters of relationships, decisions, emotional exchanges, money, self-worth, peace, and direction are all being brought into a clear view. Venusian Libra type of vibes. Libra is ruled by Venus, so there you have the Venusian frequency flowing through there. So if something has felt off, heavy, delayed, or uneven, harder to ignore, this is why. The truth is rising to the surface so that way you can stop repeating what drains you and start choosing what actually supports your next chapter. So we're going to go through each sign. First, we're going to dive into what we got going on collectively first, and then we'll look at each sign, and then we'll see what the vibe is, and we'll take it from there. Now, we do have our reset. Your timeline will repeat your life guide that you will find in the LINKBIO in the opening of my channel. You'll see that in that stand store, and just browse through and see what it is for you. I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Make sure you're getting that reset, your timeline, or repeat your life guide before anything else. Let me look at this chart. Basically, the guide, what it does is it pretty much walks you through, recognizing patterns as they rise, grounding the body before reacting, and understanding how internal responses shape external outcomes. So instead of moving based on urgency or assumption, that structure, shows you the way to pause, observe, and choose from a more stable position, which is then therefore going to create a different movement, one that is not driven by reaction, but more so by recognition. And the body plays a central role in this process. It's not, separate from decision making. It's pretty much the first point of information. And when the body is tense, unsettled, or reactive, that state influences perception and action. So if decisions are made without stabilizing the body, it will reflect within instability. So this is why thinking alone does not create lasting change. The system must be addressed as a whole. So what is often, described as chaos is rarely without meaning. It's usually the result of unrecognized patterns, unprocessed responses, and or, misaligned sequencing. And when these elements are brought into awareness and worked with directly, what once felt chaotic begins to reveal structure, okay? It becomes something that could be understood and directed rather than avoided. So the guide is not designed to remove chaos. It shows you how to work with it until it becomes usable. So as you move through each rotation, the system begins to stabilize. It puts you through a path of recognition that happens earlier, responses that become less reactive, and decisions that are no longer carrying the same urgency. And over time, it'll create a sense of steadiness that wasn't present before. Because the thing is, when movement becomes more consistent, not because everything is controlled, but because the internal process is no longer fragmented. And utilizing the guide, it's not passive work. It requires attention, presence, and participation. So it's not designed for quick answers or surface level engagement. It's designed for those who are ready to understand how their internal system operates and to take responsibility for the way they move within it. So the value of the guide is not so much what it tells you, but what it allows you to see and apply. Okay? So that guide is actually in the pinned comment that you see there. And enjoy. Those of you that already have it, salute to you, my loves. All right. So, full moon, huh? Libra. It's a direct axis between self and relationship, identity and reflection, impulse and calibration. So with the sun in Aries at 12 degrees, 21 minutes, and the moon in Libra, 12 degrees, 21 minutes, Libra. This is the field that is showing you exactly where action has outrun harmony, where harmony has delayed action, and where your system is being called to bring both into clean balance. Because the full moon in your body, the first framework is the point where the entire system has built enough charge from root upward. And that's what has been developing internally and can no longer stay hidden. So this is a revelation through pressure. It's the emotional body basically reaching visible expression. You can basically state it as, okay, this is the nervous system showing the truth of what has been sustained, tolerated, even avoided, desired, or denied. Because the full moon exposes. It does not create the issue. It reveals what has already reached fullness. So with it in Libra, this revelation is expressing through relational fields, because Libra governs balance, reciprocity, social mirroring, fairness, aesthetics, and the emotional impact of disharmony. So what is being activated is not just feelings in an abstract sense. It's your body registering where peace is real and where peace has been performed. So it's also where the body is registering where you are in proper exchange and where you are overcompensating, over-explaining, or over-accommodating, or carrying the burden of keeping everything smooth. Since the sun is in Aries, the source of pressure is the self. Aries is raw ignition, desire, movement, instinct, autonomy, and directness. So the axis is basically saying your individuality is pressing forward, while the moon in Libra is asking you whether relationships, commitments, and exchanges can actually hold that truth. You know what I mean? And this can feel such as inner tension between I must move and I must consider, or I know what I desire and I'm seeing how everyone else is impacted. So it's between sacred independence and social consequence. Now, in real time, for some, this can come up as this can come up as restlessness, heightened sensitivity to imbalance. Let's see here, frustration with passivity, sharper awareness of who gives back and who only receives, big time, and emotional clarity around where your energy has been split. You may also notice the body responding through tension in the lower back, kidneys, adrenals, the skin, or your breath rhythm, because Libra often shows where the system is attempting to regulate through external peace rather than internal truth. Now, we do got Mercury and Pisces at 14 degrees, which is where the mind is not processing this through logic first. It's literally processing through atmosphere, symbols, emotional currents, and subtle knowing. Thoughts may feel porous right now, so you may receive insight in waves rather than sentences. You may know something before you can, articulate it, because this placement also increases the chance of absorbing other people's projections. So discernment truly matters at this time, especially while Mercury is in Pisces. Not every feeling, okay, in the field is yours. So it's important to name what is and release what is not. With Venus in Taurus, which is one of the strongest stabilizers right now in the chart, this is basically, let's see here. This is basically reminding you that your values must become embodied, not just spoken, as Taurus connects to the wisdom of the body. And Taurus asks, what is actually sustaining you? What is nourishing your body, finances, pleasure, time, and sense of worth? Because this full moon can expose where you have been emotionally, diplomatic in Libra while materially underfed in Taurus terms. So if the exchange is not steady, tangible, and nourishing, your system will register that now with more force. Now with Mars and Pisces at 23 degrees, which is an Aquarius degree, this is showing that action right now is moving through emotion, intuition, and spiritual fatigue or surrender. So this is not clean-cut warrior force. This is action that can diffuse, drift, or become sacrificial if boundaries are weak. So under this full moon, one of the major questions is whether you are acting from clarity or from emotional overflow. Because Mars and Pisces can serve compassion, artistry, and spiritual devotion beautifully. However, it can also blur, fight, flight, or freeze. So make sure you're not allowing vague guilt to guide your decisions. With Jupiter in Cancer, it's expanding your emotional body, the necessity for safety, home, belonging, and genuine care, which is adding great volume to the feeling field. So everything connected to family, protection, nourishment, home base, and emotional trust becomes bigger here. So basically, if something feels unsafe, your system will not be subtle about it. And if something feels deeply nurturing, that becomes equally obvious. And with Jupiter in Cancer, Jupiter is basically, calling you, asking you to honor what truly protects your life force. Okay? Now, with Saturn in Aries and Neptune in Aries, Saturn 5 degrees, Leo degree, Neptune in Aries 2 degrees, a Taurus degree, this is basically restructuring identity of self. Because Saturn in Aries is basically saying, all right, now your selfhood requires discipline, not just instinct. With Neptune in Aries, this is saying that the old image of the self is dissolving so a truer one can emerge. And now with that selfhood that now requires discipline and not just instinct is a smoother flow. So together they're basically confronting, fantasy-based identity, impulsive self-definition, spiritualized ego, and undirected force. With the full moon in Libra, this can reveal relationships that have been built around an outdated version of you. That can feel disorienting, but it is clarifying. With Pluto in Aquarius, this is bringing the intensity when it comes to collective transformation, group dynamics, social patterns, and psychological detachment, which adds a deeper layer to all of this, because some of what you're actually seeing is not only personal. You're also seeing, systems, networks, communities, and social agreements for what they are. You may feel more unwilling to participate in performative connection or shallow consensus or false belonging, because Pluto in Aquarius is cutting through all that social distortion with cold precision. It's very precise, okay? Let me drink some of this coffee. Now with the North Node in Pisces, it's 7 degrees. Retrograde points the soul path towards surrender, spiritual trust, compassion, and release of over control. When we got the South Node in Virgo, bipolarity, which shows that or it shows the habit of over-analysis, over-fixing, overworking, and attempting to earn peace through perfection. So this full moon may expose how often balance was pursued through management rather than truth, because Libra can become skilled at appearances, while Pisces asks for soul-level transparency. With Lilith and Sag at 11 degrees right now, this is giving this a fierce undertone around truth, belief, freedom, and the refusal to shrink for consensus reality. Because this is the part of why the full moon may feel even sharper. Because the body is not only seeking peace, it's seeking transparent alignment. So anything that requires self-betrayal to maintain approval is going to feel much heavier now for it to be disposed, dissolved, disposed, and, completely do away with. With Chiron in Aries at 25 degrees, it shows the wound and the medicine around selfhood, as a matter of fact. Assertion. The right to exist, to act, to be first in your own life. So the full moon is not simply saying, okay, balance your relationships. It's on some heal the part of you that thought harmony required you to disconnect yourself from yourself or self-erasure, and heal the part of you that thought being direct meant being unsafe. Heal the split between courage and connection. Because right now with the part of Fortune and Leo also, your vitality actually returns through creative self-expression, visible heart, unapologetic radiance, and embodied presence. Not performance, not ego, not inflation, especially if you don't have this energy flowing through your fifth house. So what's being activated right now is the relational body. It's being illuminated by the pressure of emergent selfhood. So what must be done with it? Well, this is where you name where reciprocity is absent. When you can name something, you can hear it. Name where reciprocity is absent, where truth has been delayed, where your body has been signaling the strain, and where you're being called into cleaner self-definition. And if the action is taken, what happens is energy becomes consolidated. The nervous system is much more stabilized. Relationships will either rebalance or reveal their limits. However, if action is delayed, this is where resentment builds. Clarity turning into exhaustion. An imbalance that becomes harder to ignore because the body will keep speaking. So for your check-ins post this live, where are you keeping peace at the cost of truth? Where are you demanding independence without emotional accountability? What exchange in your life no longer feels equal? What has your body already told you that your mind keeps postponing? And what would action look such as right now and not eventually? How would actual balanced action look right now, not eventually? Because with this full moon being a revealing one, Aries says move. Libra says calibrate. Mars, Mercury, North Node, Pisces says feel the unseen. Taurus says grounded. Jupiter in Cancer saying protect what's tender. Pluto in Aquarius is saying detach from distortion. The result is simple. The truth of your energy is becoming visible through relationships. the truth of your energy, the truth of you, where you are at energetically, is becoming visible through relationships. This is where anything misaligned gets harder to carry. Okay? So glad I found you live today. Welcome in. Welcome in. So, let's go through each sign. Because for Aries, I'm actually... Oh, wait a minute. Let me... Hold on. Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, 2120. This full moon for you, Aries, lands across your relationship axis. So the mirror is not subtle right now for you, Aries, not at all. You're being shown who you become in connection, who you override in the name of urgency, and who meets you with real reciprocity versus who only responds to your fire when it serves them. This is not only about romance. This is about every exchange where your identity meets another person's expectations, pace, wounds, or projections. So for you, Aries, with the sun in Aries, it's your season, grand solar return to you, loves, fellow fire sign. The pressure is building in your sense of self, especially as a rising, because you're being pushed to move, to decide, to initiate and reclaim authority over your own direction. But the moon in Libra is exposing where your movement has been entangled with other people's approval, resistance, dependence, or silence. So this full moon for you, Aries, can bring tension between what you know you must do and what others are comfortable receiving from you. That tension right there is your message. Tension between what you know you must do, Aries, and what others are comfortable receiving from you. You may feel more aware of where you have been too sharp, too fast, or too impatient, or too focused on your own will. But you may also become deeply aware of where you have been shrinking your instinct just to keep peace. Both are distortions, though. Aries is not here to dominate, and Aries is not here to disappear either. The medicine is in clean self-definition with relational maturity. So if something feels emotionally charged right now, Aries, pay attention to, whether it's revealing imbalance, not just conflict. Who is asking you to dilute yourself, Aries? Who only engages when you soften your edge, Aries? Who says that they desire transparency, but resist it when it arrives, Aries? Who actually has the capacity to meet your directness without turning it into a problem, Aries? These are the kinds of revelation this full moon is bringing for you. Libra full moons for you, Aries, often expose the difference between chemistry and compatibility anyway, or between passion and partnership, desire and agreement. You can want something intensely and still have to assess whether it is balanced, mutual, sustainable, and respectful because it's not a desire. This moon is not asking you to abandon your fire either, Aries. It's asking you to see whether your fire is creating life or consuming your peace. So Aries, stop negotiating your truth just because it changes the atmosphere. You heard me? Stop negotiating your truth just because it changes the atmosphere. Stop confusing harmony with self-abandonment. Stop giving your fire to people who only want warmth but cannot handle the heat. The proper relationships will not require less of your essence, Aries. It will require more transparency, though, more maturity, more steadiness, and more mutual respect. Taurus 2525. For you, Taurus, this full moon is illuminating your daily life, your routines, your body's responses to imbalance, and the quiet arrangements you make every day that either support your peace or slowly drain it. 6th house energy. So for you, Taurus, this is not only about, relationships in the obvious sense. It's about the relationship between your energy and your habits, your body, your schedule, your standards, and what you keep allowing into your space. You already know Libra rules balance, and Taurus, for you, this full moon is asking whether your life is actually organized in a way that, honors your nervous system. Because with the sun in Aries, it's going to be a great deal happening behind the scenes, a whole lot happening behind the scenes for you. Because there's pressure building in your inner world, especially in the places nobody fully sees, in the parts of you that are processing endings, fatigue, spiritual residue, and unfinished emotional material. So while the outside world for you, Taurus, may be showing you practical matters, the deeper truth for you, Taurus, is that your system is craving closure, rest, and a cleaner boundary around what you carry. So Taurus, the full moon in Libra, it's revealing where your peace has been disrupted by subtle overextension. So this can show up as exhaustion with people who take more than they give, frustration with responsibilities that no longer feel aligned, or sudden clarity about habits that have become polished forms of self-neglect. Because of course, Taurus, you can endure a lot. Because once you commit deeply. But this moon is asking whether what you have committed to is still nourishing you, or whether you are maintaining it only because it's familiar. Familiarity is not always safety. Sometimes it's simply repetition. So you may become more aware, where your body has been holding the truth before your mind even admitted it. Tension, sluggishness, irritation, overstimulation, disrupted sleep, or even emotional heaviness may all be signals for you at this moment. Because the body is giving you direct feedback about what your life structure is doing to your peace. So if something keeps throwing you off center, that's your message. Whatever is throwing you off center is what you're now supposed to be handling at this moment. So Taurus, restore balance through practical devotion to your own well-being. Clean up what your body is rejecting. Reorganize what your peace can no longer sustain. Stop calling endurance peace, Taurus. Stop calling endurance peace. Because peace is not merely your ability to withstand pressure. Peace is the environment your body can actually thrive in, Taurus. Okay? Gratitude for the jewels, love. Danielle, welcome. Gemini. 29. Flat. For you, Gemini, the full moon in Libra lights up your axis of creativity. So we're talking about 5th house. Creativity, romance, pleasure, visibility, and heart expression. So for you, Gemini, I almost called you Libra, by the way. This moon is asking a beautiful but serious question for you. Sip coffee. Gemini. The question is, where has joy actually become imbalanced? Gemini, where are you giving your creative, emotional, or romantic energy without true reciprocity? Where are you dimming your natural brilliance in order to stay palatable, acceptable, or emotionally safe? Because with the sun in Aries, Gemini, the pressure is coming through your social sphere, future direction, communities, and larger goals. So something in you has this will of movement, expansion, momentum, and a clearer alignment with who and what you are building toward. The moon in Libra, however, brings focus to what your heart is experiencing inside that larger movement. So it's one thing to be connected, it's another to be genuinely seen. And this full moon for you, Gemini, is exposing the difference. And with the Libra moon as an air sign ally, there can be a strong desire to intellectualize this moon or speak around it elegantly. But for you, Gemini, this one is meant to be felt. It's not only about what makes sense, it's about what feels mutual, alive, and emotionally worth your energy. So you, Gemini, may receive revelations around dating, attraction, certain social groups that you've been connected to in regards to the chemistry within it, artistic collaborations, or even the gap between attention and your true appreciation. Because not everyone who enjoys your spark is capable of honoring your heart, Gemini. Not everyone who enjoys your spark is capable of honoring your heart. And this full moon for you, Gemini, can show you where you have been scattering your life force. Gemini energy is brilliant, adaptive, and quick, but it can distribute itself in too many directions when emotionally undernourished. Libra now is asking you, this full moon in Libra is now asking you to assess quality over quantity, basically. By asking yourself, okay, which connections genuinely feed your spirit? Which audiences, conversations, or creative outlets reflect you back with grace and respect? And which ones merely consume your brilliance? So for you, Gemini, reclaim the dignity of your heart. Let joy become discerning. Let creativity become transparent. Let romance reveal its true weight through reciprocity, not words alone. And Gemini, stop offering your sparkle where there is no reverence for its source. Let's not play them games. Cancer, 33. Cancer. This full moon in Libra is illuminating your foundation, fourth house, your home, your emotional base, and the part of your life that feels safe for everything else to function well. So for you, this moon is not superficial at all. It reaches into the inner chamber. So for you, Cancer, reveals what your body has been carrying in private, what your home environment is reflecting back to you, and where your emotional security has been shaped around keeping balance for everyone else. Cancer with the sun in Aries, there is pressure building your public life, your direction, your visibility, and your sense of leadership. So something is asking you to step forward, Cancer, move decisively, and define your path with more authority. The moon in Libra now, it's showing that no outer movement will fully feel correct if your inner base is unsettled. So this full moon, Cancer, can bring a sharp realization of, you cannot build a stronger outer structure on top of an inner instability, hidden resentment, or an environment that keeps disrupting your peace. So for you, Cancer, the Libra full moon often exposes exchange between public responsibility and private nourishment. So the question for you, Cancer becomes, have you been holding it together outwardly while your inner world has been asking for restoration, Cancer? Have you been tending everyone else's comfort while your own emotional field has gone unattended? Have you been calling something fine because it's functional, even though it does not actually feel supportive? This moon brings those truths to the surface because Libra rules fairness and relational balance. So the issue may involve family, household dynamics, shared space, or emotional labor that has quietly become uneven. So for you, Cancer, you may see clearly, where you have been the stabilizer, the peacemaker, the one who anticipates necessities, the one who absorbs tension so the system keeps moving. But there comes a point, Cancer, where overfunctioning becomes self-abandonment. So this full moon can reveal where that line has been crossed. Okay? So Cancer, restore your foundation before forcing the next chapter. Let your home, your body, and your emotional field tell the truth. And stop measuring stability by how much chaos you can absorb without breaking. Because real stability is what allows your body to soften because it knows it's safe. All right, Cancer. Leo, 3619. Leo, this full moon illuminates your third house of your mind, your voice, your conversations, your local environment, and the stories you are telling yourself and others, Leo. So for you, this moon is bringing revelation through language, thought patterns, communication dynamics, and the subtle ways your energy gets shaped through daily exchanges. So for you, Leo, something is becoming unmistakably clear at this point. And once you see it, Leo, you will not be able to return to the old wording or old narratives or, old ways of explaining yourself. Because for you, Leo, with the sun in Aries, your spirit is actually craving expansion, truth, movement, and a wider horizon. So there's pressure building around belief, vision, purpose, teaching, learning, travel, or the bigger meaning of your path, ninth house topics. However, the moon in Libra, it's showing that before you leap fully into the next horizon, Leo, you must bring balance to where your mind is functioning right now. The way your mind is functioning right now. So the question for you, Leo, is how are you framing your life? Who are you in constant dialogue with? That's the biggest question for you, Leo. What agreements are you reinforcing through your speech? It's another one. What agreements are you reinforcing through your speech? Gotta be real mindful with your words. What thoughts are stealing your energy because they have never been challenged, Leo? So this Libra full moon for you, and Libra full moons in general, often reveals the difference between expression and performance. You have no issue when it comes to you radiating, Leo. You know how to command presence. But this moon is asking whether your words are truly carrying your heart, or whether some part of your communication has become polished while your actual truth waits underneath. And this can actually show up through important conversations, emotional realizations, messages, writing, teaching, or even the sudden clarity around who actually hears you and who only hears what benefits them. And because Libra rules fairness, Leo, you may become acutely aware of imbalances in communication. So that may appear as basically asking yourself, all right, so who interrupts your truth? Who expects access to your energy but does not listen with equal care? Where have you been over explaining and over to be understood? Where have you been staying, diplomatic while internally disagreeing? This full moon is exposing relational patterns and language. And it shows where your voice has been adjusted to maintain harmony and where that adjustment is no longer acceptable. So Leo, rebalance your voice. Speak with elegance. but do not speak around the truth. Release the story that costs too much life force to maintain. Release the story that costs too much life force to maintain, Leo. Let your words become cleaner, stronger, more anchored in self-respect. So what changes your language changes your reality. Virgo, 40/20. Virgo, this full moon in Libra illuminates your axis of the second house, value, resources, self-worth, and energetic exchange. So for you, Virgo, this moon is bringing clarity around what you have been giving, what you have been receiving, what your body considers fair, and where balance has been discussed more than it has been lived. Because this is a powerful check-in, because Libra is asking for reciprocity. And for Virgo, that question lands directly in the realm of your worth, second house. So Virgo, what are you actually being met with in return for your energy, effort, skill, care, and consistency? Because with the sun in Aries, there's pressure building in deeper chambers of your life when it comes to intimacy, eighth house topics, intimacy, shared resources, vulnerability, trust, emotional merging, debts, obligations, and the unseen contracts that shape your choices. So while this full moon may appear practical on the surface, the truth goes a lot deeper for you, Virgo. Because it's not only asking, what you own or earn, it's asking what it costs you to stay in certain exchanges. It's asking whether the emotional, spiritual, and material price of something is still aligned with your truth and your worth. Because Virgo, you already know you can become or are highly skilled at improving systems, supporting others, refining processes, and holding standards. But under this full moon, the shadow question is whether you have been offering your value in places that quietly assume your labor rather than honor it. Have you been given precision where there is no reverence? Come on with it. Have you been maintaining quality in spaces that only reward convenience? Have you been overextended because your nervous system learned to equate usefulness with safety? This moon brings those patterns into full view. And with this moon in Libra, you may feel especially aware now where the scales are off in money, effort, emotional labor, or mutual support. So something may, suddenly feel too expensive, even if it once felt manageable. That's not pettiness, that's wisdom. Your body knows when an exchange has shifted from devotion into depletion. So pay attention to that, it matters. So Virgo, stop negotiating with spaces that benefit from your underpricing, under-receiving, or over-giving. Let this full moon reset the scale. Let your body tell you what is worth sustaining, what is no longer an aligned exchange. Your worth does not increase through exhaustion. It becomes visible through standards. Libra, it's your moon, darling. 43/44, Libra. This full moon is yours and it makes it personal. So with the moon in Libra, your sign opposing the sun in Aries, your selfhood, emotional field, body, and relational patterns are being fully illuminated. So this is not a subtle transit for you at all. It's a direct mirror. It's showing you who you have become through compromise, where you have mastered grace but hidden your discomfort, where you have carried beauty over truth, and where, balance must stop being an image and become a lived reality. Because the moon is in your sign, your body is receiving this first. So emotions may be heightened, but more importantly, Libra, your system is becoming vividly aware of what feels harmonious and what only looks harmonious. Vividly aware of what feels and what looks harmonious. Because Libra, you're often gifted at creating atmosphere, smoothing tension, and reading the room. However, this full moon removes some of the veil around those skills and asks a sharper question. Where has peace become performance, and where have you been, managing dynamics instead of telling the truth about them? That part. With the sun in Aries, the pressure is coming from relationships, partners, mirrors, rivals, and the people who activate your sense of self through contrast. Aries brings heat, directness, urgency, and individuation. But this full moon can feel as though, you know, you're being pulled between your instinct to maintain balance and a growing inability to keep adjusting around what is no longer aligned. So something in you, Libra, is reaching the point of emotional transparency that cannot be elegantly avoided anymore. So this can show up through heightened awareness in romance, friendships, business, family, or any close one-to-one dynamics. You may suddenly see, where reciprocity has been missing, where your presence has been expected but not honored, where you have been emotionally translated on behalf of others, and where you have been postponing decisions because you wanted more evidence, more certainty, or a softer landing. With this full moon, the truth is already present, Libra. So what remains is your willingness to stand in it. The truth is already present. So return to your own center, Libra. Let balance begin in the body, not in appearances. Let truth become more important than tone. Let your standards become more visible. Let your no be clean. Let your yes be real. This full moon is not asking you to become hard, it's asking you to become more transparent, more embodied, and more internally aligned. Scorpio, 4725. Scorpio, this full moon in Libra illuminates your hidden terrain, your inner processing, your subconscious patterns, your spiritual residue, the emotional material that has been building behind the scenes, 12th house topic. So for you, this moon is not primarily loud for you on the surface, Scorpio. It is profound in the places that are usually private. So something for you, Scorpio, is being revealed in your interior world about what you have carried in silence, what you have tolerated beneath your visible strength, and what your body is ready to release because the cost of keeping it has become way too high. So with the sun in Aries, Scorpio, the pressure is building through work, health, routines, service, daily demands in the structure of your life. Something your external world is pushing for movement, action, correction, and sharper self-leadership. However, the moon in Libra is saying that for you, Scorpio, the deeper issue is actually, it's the balance within your unseen emotional field. So if your daily life has become overloaded because your inner world has been quietly burdened, this full moon will show the connection. The body always keeps the score. It never misses. So for you, Scorpio, this Libra in this part of your chart, 12th house can expose where peace has been manufactured through suppression. So for you, Scorpio, you may have kept your face composed, your words measured, your power contained, while internally holding grief, disappointment, fatigue, anger, or psychic clutter that has never been fully cleared. So for you, Scorpio, this moon turns a light on that hidden, accumulation. And they may, I heard a crow. It may come through, I heard a crow at 6:53. It may come through dreams, body sensations, emotional waves, old memories, or sudden clarity around a pattern you can no longer justify carrying. And don't, because I said memory, but the word murmur. Yeah, just be mindful, Scorpio, okay? Let me write this thing down, 253. Because Libra, again, ruling fairness, one of the questions here is whether your internal labor has been invisible, not only to others, but also to you. Have you been absorbing too much because you assumed you could handle it? Have you been cleaning up emotional residue that was never yours to begin with? Have you been maintaining calm externally while internally negotiating with exhaustion? This moon does not need, ask, or want performance. It desires release, restoration, and truth for you, Scorpio. So, clear what has been, living in the dark without consent. Stop mistaking endurance for healing. Stop calling silence peace when the body is still absorbing the impact. Because your inner world, Scorpio, deserves balance too. Real power includes release. That's for you. Sagittario, Sagittarius, 5140, Sagittarius. Sagittarius, this full moon in Libra illuminates your social world, your future direction, your networks, your community, your collaborations. 11th house matters in the space between belonging and alignment. So for you, this moon is asking whether the people around you, the circles you move through, and the visions you are investing in are actually balanced exchanges. It's showing you where your energy is welcome, where it's consumed, and where it's genuinely supported, and where connections has been more aesthetic than authentic. With the sun in Aries, the pressure is rising through your creativity, your self-expression, romance, confidence, leadership, and personal fire. So something in you desires to create, move, initiate, and fully be seen, Sagittarius. There's a strong pulse of self-directed life force building at this time. However, the full moon in Libra, it shows that your relational and communal environment must be able to hold that emergence. So if your circles cannot support your expansion without competition, projection, or passive resistance, this full moon will make that very clear and plain. Okay? Because for you, Sagittarius, Libra in this part of your chart can reveal the difference between social harmony and real resonance. So you may have been maintaining connection with people, groups, audiences, or collaborative spaces that are pleasant on the surface, but not deeply aligned with who you are becoming. This moon asks whether your future is being fed by your current associations or quietly delayed by them. Not every invitation for you, Sag, is part of the path. Not every shared space is your true community. So with this full moon in Libra, you may become more aware of imbalances in support, acknowledgement, contribution, and emotional availability within your wider network. Who supports you or celebrates you when you rise? Who only engages when you are accessible, entertaining, or useful? Who values your vision but cannot meet your consistency? Who craves your spark but not your standards? These are the kinds of revelations that can surface now. And honestly, some of y'all already been seeing that since January. So there that go. So Sagittarius, let your future become more selective. And stop confusing access with alignment. Stop giving your vision to spaces that cannot honor its weight. Let collaborations and community become more truthful, more reciprocal, and more structurally supportive of the life you're actually building, Sagittarius. Capricorn, we have you at 5,500. Capricorn, this full moon in Libra illuminates your public life, your reputation, your career direction, your visibility, and the structured responsibility you are carrying in the world. So for you, Capricorn, this moon is bringing a direct reckoning around balance between what you're building outwardly and what is costing you inwardly. So what's being revealed for you, it's about your role, your leadership, your obligations, the emotional reality beneath the image of composure. And with the sun in Aries, the pressure is building at the base of your chart through home, family roots, inner security, and the private conditions that support everything else. So while the full moon is exposing your outer path, the deeper truth for you, Capricorn, is that your foundation is literally demanding attention. Because as a Capricorn, you can keep moving under strain for a long time. You know how to carry weight, fulfill duty, and maintain function even when the emotional field is under pressure. However, this moon's energy is more of the question of, is your, outer success or responsibility balanced with what your body and inner life can actually sustain? Because Libra in this area of your chart, it brings focus to fairness, relational dynamics and leadership, and the exchange between what you give professionally, Capricorn, and what you receive in return. So you may clearly see now, Capricorn, where you have been overperforming steadiness, overcompensating for other people's lack of maturity, or maintaining peace in systems that rely on your discipline more than they honor your humanity. So this can show up in career, business, authority roles, or any space where you are expected to keep things together. So you, Capricorn, may become more aware of how much your decisions are shaped by external perception. So the question is, are you making a move because it's aligned or because it preserves an image, Capricorn? Are you staying in a role because it is truly yours, or because you have become identified with being the dependable one? Because Libra can sometimes keep things polished after the truth has already shifted. But this particular full moon removes some of that polish and asks for, proper and real equilibrium. So Capricorn, let balance enter the structure. Stop measuring strength by how much pressure you can absorb without showing strain. Stop calling, over responsibility maturity when it's quietly draining the fuck out your life force. Your path forward is not, less power. It's cleaner power, rooted in inner stability and real reciprocity. All right, Capricorn. Aquarius, got you at, let's see, 5840. Aquarius. Aquarius, this full moon in Libra illuminates your beliefs, your worldview, your spiritual and philosophical direction, your teaching voice, your higher learning, ninth house area, and the meaning you are giving your life right now. So for you, this moon is revealing where your perspective has changed, where truth has outgrown an old language, and where your path is asking for a more balanced relationship between what you know that influences what you believe and the way you live it. With the sun in Aries, the pressure is building through your mind, your communication, your immediate environment, decisions, and the daily movement of your life. There is this urgency in your thoughts, urgency in your words, Aquarius, urgency in what you feel, has to be said or initiated. However, the moon in Libra widens that frame And it's asking whether your current mental activity is connected to a larger truth, or are you just reacting to immediate stimulation? Because this full moon is more so about perspective and the coherence between your daily voice and your higher vision. So for you, Aquarius, this Libra, full moon in Libra in this area of your chart can bring revelations through study, travel, spiritual insight, conversations about truth, legal or ethical matters here for some, teaching, publishing, or the tension between lived wisdom and inherited belief. Something may click into place now for you, Aquarius, around what you no longer believe because of what you know clearly, and what you can no longer perform agreement with, or what direction is actually worth your devotion, worthy of your devotion. It's not only intellectual, it's more relational to truth itself. Because Libra is asking you now whether your worldview creates harmony or merely avoids discomfort. So, Aquarius, you may notice where you have been staying diplomatic in places where your deeper philosophy has already moved on. You may see where you have softened your actual insight to remain socially acceptable or easy to receive. You may also recognize where you have been mentally overactive without giving yourself enough spaciousness to let wisdom fully settle into the body. This moon is asking for balance between concept and embodiment. Yeah, you understand it. Now embody it. So let your truth mature, Aquarius. Stop carrying beliefs that only fit the version you already ended. Stop speaking from old frameworks because they are familiar. Let your understanding become more elegant, more embodied, and more integrated with how you actually live, Aquarius. Because for you, real wisdom creates balance between mind, ethics, body, and action. All right, Aquarius. Pisces, 6220. Pisces. All right. For you, Pisces, this full moon in Libra, it's illuminating your deep exchange field, 8th house, topics of intimacy, trust, merging, shared resources, energetic entanglements, debts, inheritance, emotional contracts, and the hidden costs of what you've been carrying with or for others. So for you, Pisces, this is a profound check-in because it's showing where balance exists in your closest energetic exchanges and where it does not. So it's revealing what your body already knows about reciprocity, access, vulnerability, and whether what you are sharing is actually safe, mutual, and life-giving. Because with the sun in Aries for you, Pisces, the pressure is building around your second house matters of value, your survival instincts, your money, your self-respect. So, and the question of what is actually truly yours. So while the moon is in Libra, it's highlighting shared dynamics. So the deeper message for you is about relationships to your own worth. This full moon is asking whether your connection supports your value or quietly eroded. It's asking whether what you're giving is being met with equal depth, equal effort, equal care, and equal accountability. Because for you, Pisces, Libra in this part of your chart can expose the difference between compassion and overmerging. Because you're naturally porous, sensitive, and capable of feeling far beyond the visible layer of things. But this moon brings a sharper lens because it shows where empathy became entanglement, where softness became self-loss, where understanding became over-accommodation, and where your emotional generosity has been flowing into spaces that do not hold you with the same integrity. So this moon can bring, clarity around emotional or material imbalance. Who has access to your tenderness without carrying responsibility for its impact, Pisces? Where have you been given energy, time, resources, body, or emotional labor without proper return? Real return. Pisces, where have you accepted vague effort, partial presence, or symbolic care when your system was asking for substance? These are the truths surfacing now. So Pisces, stop giving sacred access where there is no sacred responsibility. Stop calling intensity intimacy when your body still does not feel safe, Pisces. Stop mistaking emotional depth for mutuality when the exchange remains uneven. This full moon for you, Pisces, is literally here to restore the scale. Your softness is precious. Make sure it's met with substance, though, because it must be met with substance. Okay? So, that is the message for all signs. And you can listen to your sun, moon, rising. All right? This message hit you deeply. Don't stop at awareness. The reset your timeline or repeat your life guide that's in the link in bio is for those ready to break cycles, see patterns clearly, and move with intention instead of repetition. And for deeper personal support, or there are additional services are also available on the Stand Store, including sessions for direct insight, clarity, and personalized guidance for your current season, where the message can reveal the pattern. The work is what changes the timeline. Don't just sit there with understanding and not embody it and take action, collective. Because awareness is the first step. Change happens when you move. All right? So that is the message for all. Blessings and love to all of you. Have a blissful rest of your day. Gratitude for the currency exchange. Timothy, gratitude for the cash out. Much love to you. Gratitude to Danielle for the gifts. Gratitude for the thumbs up on the live. And I am signing out.